PR LBL Brand Summit 2017.
First session is going to be about building breakthrough brands in post-marketing age. So these are all provocative themes. Okay, we want people to think, challenge the way we have been, practicing marketing and practicing brand building. So the purpose of our summits is basically to expand people's intellect, challenge them with new ideas, challenging the status quo. We are not teaching here anything that you will go back to office tomorrow and practice. So we're not in the skill business. We're in the business of expanding your intellect. Okay. So that is why we always select very provocative themes. Okay. So what we are going to discuss next 9 hours is the way that we have practiced in the marketing. Has it changed? Is it going to change? Also, what is this evolving new landscape of brand building? Okay, there are social upheavals, there are technological development, and in this context, how we continue to practice marketing, and how will we build brands, and how will we innovate customer experience. So we are going to have some leading edge, cutting edge, discussions next 5 minutes, next 9 hours. So gentlemen, we got a super panel. I don't think you got the best people you can find in the region and in Sri Lanka to tackle this tough session. Okay, so we have with us Sunil Sethi, Fonterra Managing Director for Sri Lanka and India subcontinent. Vikash from Malanlol Lintans. Nobody wants an introduction to Nimal, and of course, Amal Cabral, and my good friend Asanga. Now, we got very powerful set of people here, a lot of weight. Now, if you look at the stage, it is slightly caved in. That is not because of their body weight. One is the market cap of the companies they represent, a few $1 trillion. Okay, that is one reason. Other one is the intellectual weight here. Absolutely brilliant set of guys, and absolutely brilliant, very well experienced, highly articulate people who are going to respond to our question, is marketing dead? How are we going to build breakthrough brands in the emerging, evolving landscape? Okay, session chair today is Asanga. Thank you so much. And Asanga, you had time till 10:25. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome our first session speakers.
So, very good morning, very familiar faces, and some of us have met many times in many forums, and today it's a slightly a different topic, a topic, if it is true, will put us out of business. So, some serious stuff when we go back, if marketing is dead, then we don't have jobs. We have to quickly look at alternate careers and so on. So it's very important that we make sure that marketing is not dead, and we have to keep marketing alive. So therefore, I'm sure you're not going to fall asleep today, because the topic itself is very personal and very important. I'm actually honored to be sitting here with this very distinguished panel. You can't ask for any other better resources than the gentleman sitting here. So we have two presentations. One from Sunil, who will open the show. He's using one of when Amal and I were developing shampoos at Unilever, there was one variant which we couldn't develop, which is the shampoo for no hair. All the other variants I'll remember, dry and damage hair, split ends, all those we were able to develop. But that one variant is still under development, and we left Unilever. I don't know what has happened. I think it will come very fast. So Sunil will do the first session. So let's start, Sunil, and then we'll go to the next presentation. So please welcome, put your hands together.
A profound tribute to marketing. The topic was marketing is dead, and I was really looking for a visual to actually bring alive the theme. And that's where you see marketing is dead, now what? Building brands in the post-marketing age. Now, don't get worried, right? It's just our job as marketers and brand builders to personify the theme and put visuals with which you can really relate to. And that's what we did. Now, building brands in the post-marketing age. I tried and looked up the word post-marketing in many dictionaries, but couldn't really find what it meant. And clearly, Lakshman had coined this on his own. So I said, look, let me start by defining what is post-marketing age. To my mind, it is the world of today and tomorrow that we live in, and some of us call it the VUCA world. Are you all familiar with that term? I'm sure each one of us in this room are experiencing it today, so this is nothing new. But just to kind of recap, we're living in a VUCA world which is about volatility, it's about uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity that it brings in. The world that we are living in brings in tremendous challenges for us as business builders. But people with right skills see many opportunities in today's world. Because volatility actually forces us to really focus on where is it that we are going? What is it that is our vision? The uncertainty forces us to look into data, to look into analytics, to look into the information available, look into what's available around us, and really get a better understanding. Similarly, complexity is actually promoting clarity, and ambiguity, because we don't know what will happen next, helps us be a lot more agile in responding to the world outside. Now, how do we win in this world where things are forever changing, nothing is certain, it's all ambiguous? I think one of the things that we as businesses need to do is to lead with what I call as a military intent. The military generals are very focused on where they want to go, but they are very flexible on how they will get there because they know where the enemy is and they need to annihilate the enemy. How they will do it will depend on the circumstances and as things change for them. I was reading an article where in a shareholders meeting, Jeff Bezos was asked, the Amazon guy, what is his view on risk? And this is what he said. We are stubborn about our vision, but we are flexible on the details. So the best way to handle this VUCA world is to be very clear where we want to go, but to be very, very flexible on how we are going to get there. I've been asked by many people in this VUCA world as to how do we predict what will happen next? Let me answer this by quoting a gentleman called William Gibson. He said, "The future is already here. It is just not evenly distributed." Now that doesn't really help. But I think going forward, the world today offers us signals which if we were to read carefully, we would know what is going to come in future for us. Whatever is going to happen in future, there are many, many signals available today. People who are rightly skilled would be able to see those signals and be ready for winning in the VUCA world. A couple of years ago, back in US, I was attending a session by a gentleman called Bob Johansson from Institute for Foreign Trade. And he gave a very interesting framework to kind of look into what lies for us as businesses in the future. And I've borrowed that framework to share how we in Fonterra are thinking about our future. So, in the year 2025, when I look at myself, I'm trying to answer a couple of questions. First, how I live my life in year 2025. How will I shop? How I decide what to eat? And then the question, how do I market to the consumers in 2025? For each of these questions, let's look at the signals that are available and which will tell us what's going to happen in the future. So how will I live my life in 2025? We've already started flexi working in our organizations. Each one of us wants to tailor our work to our lifestyles. Recently came across this website called Odesk, which is now called Upwork, where you don't have to work full time. You can make your freelance services available, and the amount of dollars they're offering are pretty good. Somewhere from $50 to $150 an hour. So you can sit in Goa, you can sit in Kandy, you can sit in Paris and still be working, but working at your own terms. That is a big signal of what's going to happen in the future. Another signal which I picked up, on-site purchasing, right? Let me share with you a commercial from Amazon Dash and look at what kind of convenience is being offered purely with a view of what's going to be happening in the future and what is the consumer or people going to ask.
If you're like me, I get tired of always running out of stuff. It gets pretty frustrating. That's where Amazon Dash saves the day. With that simple design, it makes ordering groceries a piece of cake. Just hold down the voice button and say anything you want. It's always ready to go.
Chocolate chips.
And the barcode scanner is really fun to use. You never have to worry about being out of something you need. With Amazon Dash, you can order over 500,000 items.
Guitar strings, strawberry yogurt, apples.
You can check out from the Amazon Fresh website or smartphone apps. Amazon Dash, shopping made simple.
So that's, which started as Siri on an Apple iPhone, is now available through Amazon Dash. You can just sit at home, scan, and it automatically gets ordered. That's the kind of world that we are going to see in the future. And just pause and think that if our products are not available like that, what's going to happen? Sometimes I wonder if somebody cannot order for Anchor milk through Amazon Dash or whatever comes here in Sri Lanka, I'd be in trouble. But the signals are already there. So what's happening in the West is very soon going to come to our part of the world. Food anytime, anywhere. Given our lifestyles, changes that are happening, the convenience, etc., the companies like Food Panda, Delivery Anywhere, and many more, that will become the norm and the routine. So pretty much, it's all about nomadic livelihoods. And we as brand builders, we need to be cognizant of this fact and need to build our plans to be able to provide for nomadic livelihoods. Next, how do I decide what to eat in 2025? There was a time either our parents used to tell us, right, and we would eat that, and finally we grow up with that habit and live with that. But these days, things are changing, right? We've got real-time data and analytics to tell us what kind of food will we eat, what will suit the health parameters that we need, what kind of moods we want, and what kind of foods build those moods. Pretty much, I want to know what is there in the food that I'm eating, where is it sourced from, what is that organization doing for the community. Those are all becoming very important factors in our choices. So it's no more the government health authority, but it's us as people, as human beings, who are becoming the health authority, and it's all about personalized nutrition. Next, how do I shop in 2025? Look at the disruptions that are happening in supply chain. All these years, where we make the product and where it gets consumed could be very, very far, miles apart. But slowly, the move is to make your food closer to where the consumption happens. And let me show you another video on what Coke Freestyle has done in the Western world and how it can come here and change the world for us.
I'll call it serendipity.
A little more sparkle?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that was... Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Hey.
Wow, that tastes amazing. Okay, we'll do mine. We'll do mine.
Okay.
One, two, three.
Just imagine the impact of this kind of stuff coming in for our rural and emerging markets. It can really, really open up business avenues. So that's another signal to be watching. There's going to be a balanced mix of online and offline. The brick and mortar stores are all here to stay, just that they need to change from being simple selling outlets to stores which provide an end experience which the consumer is looking at. So that change you're definitely going to see. You're seeing many traditional trade outlets turning into self-service stores, while they still keep the service boys in their store, because that's in their grain. But slowly, it's about the experience in the brick and mortar stores, while the Alibabas and the Amazons and the Flipkarts and the Snapdeals of the world are gaining big ground. There are new route to market appearing to serve the bottom of the pyramid. Huge opportunity across the world, especially in the developing markets. The whole business model for bottom of the pyramid is going to be very different. The product offerings are going to be very different. Companies will have to deal with what are the challenges that they are facing at the bottom of the pyramid and provide for that in an efficient manner and an effective manner. Bangladesh has an organization by the name of Grameen. They are running a model which is purely to feed the bottom of the pyramid. And those are once again signals. And you'll see many more models coming in Africa and Latin America and the other developing markets of the world. That is going to happen, and we've got to be prepared for that opportunity. Otherwise, it'll become a challenge. So, blended reality retail is what is going to be there in 2025, and that's the signals are very clear. Now, if this is what is going to happen in brief in 2025 from now onwards, how do I market to consumers in 2025? And I put a big cross on the word market and consumers. What we call as marketing and advertising will transform into gameful engagement, where brands and retailers will interact with people on individual terms. It's no more about consumers. It's about people. Consumers, people today do not like to be clubbed into a homogeneous group as consumers and then being thrust upon choices. You talk to any 19, 20, 25-year-old person, they want to be treated as individuals. And that's what I mean by differentiating our thinking and saying not consumers, we should talk about people. Next, it's about engagement and not marketing. We've got to find the intrinsic motivations, and we've got to engage with people in a manner that draws them to our brands. That is a big difference, and we are going to talk about it throughout the day today. So what are some of the things available to us brand people? I think the first thing is the neuroscience and the behavioral economics and all the studies that we have available with us. One interesting study I came across was on the science behind willpower. What this research says, that as we go through the day and make more and more decisions, our willpower starts weakening. And when I sat back and thought about it, it's very true. Every morning when I look at the mirror and I see my double chin, I take a resolution that from today onwards, I will manage my eating very well. So the breakfast is a simple toast and an egg. And as I move through the day, I don't know what happens in the night. At dinner time, that willpower goes out of the window, and I'm back to my rice, roti, curries, and the works. And then when I read this research, I said, yes, makes sense. I make so many choices and decisions during the day that by the time it comes to evening, my willpower is at its lowest. I think some of these researches are available and will help us tailor our initiatives to win with the consumer. The other research I was reading, 78% of the Asian women rely on search to buy CPG brands versus getting impacted by push selling. Think about it. Right? I'm not canvassing for Google search, but that is what the research is saying in terms of the consumer behavior or the way people behave. Crowdsourcing, co-creating and engaging people, make them own what you are doing, and that creates powerful engagement. Personalized and tailored communication, all of us know, I've talked about how people want to be treated as individuals. And then these 19, 20-year-old digital natives, they are completely a different lot. Another 10 years, they will be 25, 26. Our core consumers and how we treat them will determine whether we win or we don't win. So, marketing is not dead. What used to be called marketing is now all about understanding intrinsic motivations and engaging with people and then influencing their behavior to select our brands. So that's the summary of how I looked at it. One more thing which is getting very important, and that is about creating shared value for all stakeholders in the society, in the business, in and around you. And we in Fonterra very strongly follow this. What you would see on your screen to my right are all the stakeholders, from consumers to community to suppliers to shareholders. And what is it that they are looking at, and we measure ourselves against each of those, whether we are delivering or not. So, marketing is not dead, but marketing needs to evolve to engagement with people, and there has to be a strong sense of giving back to the society or the stakeholders who are in the business. In my 20 minutes, that's a little bit for you to think. Thank you.